Hello and welcome everyone. I am Ajay from Zoho. Before we begin, I would like to give you a brief about our company Zoho. We at Zoho, we have been doing business all across globe for about 20 years since 1996, and then we have been building world-class products right from our own soil. So as you can see here, we have more than 30 different apps, and today we are going to specifically focus upon the finance section of Zoho, and we are going to look at Zoho Books, which is a cloud-based accounting and GST filing software. So let me just quickly take you through our website. So once you enter our Zoho Books website, so this is the page that you're going to see. And in order to sign up for Zoho Books, you would be seeing a start free trial button right over here. So right now, in my case, I have actually logged into my Zoho Books account. So that is why I see an Access Books button right here. So when you sign up for the free trial, right from this page, you would be asked four different things. One would be your name, your email address, and then it would also ask you for a password of your choice. And then finally, it would ask you to select your country. And so you would be taken into an organizational setup page. So first up, after you just give your email address, your name, and your location, which is going to be India, so your first company setup is going to look something like this. So here you would be entering all the basic details of your company. So your organization's name and the portal name. Okay, speaking of portal name, inside Zoho Books, we have something called as a client portal. So a client portal will basically allow you to give access to your clients the necessary interface wherein they can view all the estimates, invoices, and the statements that you have sent to them. So basically, it will be something like their own portal wherein they view all the business that they have given you and they have transacted with you. So for that, you just need a unique portal name. So every business will have its own portal name, and the customers will create their own username and password for the same. You just have to enable access for them. So next up, the business location is going to be India, and then you're going to give your company address, and then your currency will be set in stone because you have chosen the location, and then the language, okay, it's going to be English, and then the time zone, and then finally the fiscal year. So once you set up these, the next phase is going to be taxes. And when you go for taxes, in this section, actually, it will ask for your GST details. So wherein you would be entering your GST registration number, and then you would also specify whether you are a vendor in the composition scheme or not. And then the third section, features, is going to be the place where you select, enable or disable certain features of Zoho Books. So for instance, some companies would need the ability to send out quotes to their customers, which can also be used as pro forma invoices in case you need it. And then some people would be in some sort of a subscription business. Maybe you are a magazine seller. So you would need recurring invoices. So you can select all those features. And then finally, you would be asked to configure your online payments, wherein we do have Razorpay and PayPal for India. So if you do have an account with them, you can link them with your Zoho Books accounts to getting all the payments directly from your customers online. So once you set it all up, you're going to be taken to what you call as an organization. So I'm just going to leave this and I'll directly take you back to my organization, and we are going to be inside Zoho Books. So as you can see here, this is the dashboard of Zoho Books, and this is where you would be able to see the big picture of your business in a bird's eye view. So basically, you would be able to see all that you can receive. I mean, any customer dues, any balances that you are yet to collect from the customer. So those can be found under total receivables. The payables will be your own dues that you have to pay to your suppliers. The cash flow graph right here is going to show you how you are doing across a particular time period. And speaking of time periods, here you can basically inside the dashboard you can fiddle around the time periods and then view data for different sections. And then your income and expenses, all those details can be found here, so that you can streamline those and make maximum profit. And then you can also view your projects here, and I would be taking you through the project section in detail in a little while. So in case you are doing any service contracts or projects, those details are going to be here. And then your bank and credit card details are also going to be visible here. So this is the dashboard. So, and before we start talking about the other modules, I'm going to take you through the settings. So once you are inside Zoho Books, you would be able to modify your organization's data at any point of time from this particular section called the organization profile. So here you can upload your logo, which will be visible on all your invoices and your sales orders. So and then your portal information is also present right here, and then your industry, your business details, along with all the company aspects right here. Next up, you have the opening balances section. So all of these things, in case you're wondering, in case I went a little bit fast, you can click on the gear icon and access all these modules right from here. And by the way, before I continue to ramble on, I have a couple of my colleagues right here. So in case you have any questions, kindly post them on chat, and then our folks here will answer your questions. So don't worry about it. Please keep interacting and please keep the questions coming. Okay. So now in the opening balances section, here you would be able to record all your any opening balance adjustments that you have to do, or the asset that you hold when you start the company or when you start operating on Zoho Books. All those things can be recorded right here. The next section is going to be the users and roles section. So as you can see here, I have a bunch of people who are also my team members operating on my accounting software. So basically, you can bring in your team members by just clicking on the invite user button and then typing out their email address, their name, and their role. So as you can see here, we have a couple of predefined roles right here. And in case you have different roles, for example, you might have one person who is dedicated for purchases, and you just want that person to view your purchase module. So in case you have any specific requirements like that, inside the users and roles, we have this role section wherein you can create a new role, and then you can alter the permissions that you just give them. So this way you can just control the hierarchy of your organization within Zoho Books. In fact, if you also wish to bring in your accountant, you can pretty much do that by creating a role for an accountant, and then you can also invite your accountant as a user. So that's also done. Next up, in the preferences section, so this is one huge section which will allow you to customize Zoho Books as per your needs. So basically, this is the place where you not only enable certain modules within Zoho Books. For example, as you can see here, I have enabled the estimates, sales orders, purchase orders, timesheet, which I use for projects, and then the ability to send out retainer invoices for advance payments. And then if suppose I need a custom field for any particular a module, so I just go to that particular module. Say I need a custom field inside sales orders, so I just go there and then create a new custom field, and you can just give a label name, and then we have so many different data types out of which you can just create. For example, if you're a service company, for example, I had this one customer of mine who was actually a service provider who did electrical installations and stuff, and they maintained all those electric meters and all that. So they had different packages. So for that, on their sales orders and invoices, they just had the plan name, and then the section was the data type was dropped down, and then they just gave some options like electrical meter checking, insulation checking, and so on. So those guys were able to easily configure a custom field, and whenever they invoice the customer, they would just select the kind of project, and then they would directly invoice them accordingly. So you can also do such things using custom fields right here. Okay, next I'm going to take you through the another very interesting module, which is currencies. So inside currencies, we have, as you know, Zoho Books is not only a multi-user software. it is also a multi-currency software. So basically, you might be doing imports, or you might be exporting stuff, or you might even get those random sales from offshore customers. So in such cases, you can define any currency that you deal with. And I have also enabled automatic currency exchange rate feeds, so that on my invoices the rates are going to be automatically configured and they'll be dealt with. Okay, and next up we come to the taxes module. So as you can see here, for this organization, I'm yet to enable the GST. So we'll be going into the GST features pretty soon after we cover all the basic features of the software. Okay, so next up okay, let's dive into the other section. So reporting tags. So as you can see here, I have certain tags right here. Using the reporting tags feature, I can actually classify my transactions and accordingly divide my reports based on these tags. So this is a very nifty feature which is very useful in case your company deals across multiple verticals and such. So I suggest you to play around with this and check it out. So next up we have the template section. So as you can see here, for India we have the standard GST style template. So let me just open it up. So as you can see here, for the GST, so it not only requires your own GST number, which would be displayed below your address. So as I am yet to register this particular organization under the GST, so I'm yet to see my GST number here. And similarly, if your customer is also GST registered, then the customer's number, GST identification number, will be displayed below the bill to section. And you also have a unique invoice number, and then this is the format that pretty much the government wants us to follow under the GST. And this also tells you that you can customize your templates by playing around with all these options. So you can pretty much make them look the way you want, along with the sizes and everything. So this is a very nifty feature. So next up, we are going to go into email templates. So this is also pretty similar to the template section. Only thing is, from Zoho Books, you would be sending out a lot of different system emails. So whenever you create an invoice, that's going to be sent out as an email. So you would have an email body and you would send out the invoice as a PDF attachment. So all those forms of communication that you carry out in the written word is going to be handled from here, and you can have your own personalized messages being sent out. Next up, I'm going to take you through the reminders module. So this is the place where you can pretty much configure reminders. Say your customer is, you wish to inform your customers 5 days before making a payment, or you wish to remind yourself to, collect a particular payment before a certain period and such. So you can pretty much configure a reminder right from this page, and you can also set up certain triggers and automatically get reminded. Next up, we have the automation section. So this section is pretty much a very nifty section, because for certain tasks inside that happen inside Zoho Books, you can automate certain responses. So you can send out email alerts, or you can update a specific field inside an invoice or any transactional module using field updates. And then using webhooks, for example, webhooks are best used when you are using 2 or more softwares together. So even in our case, people who happen to hear about our sales software called Zoho CRM, so we whenever an estimate inside Zoho Books gets accepted, we push in a potential into our CRM so that our sales folks can follow it. So certain aspects, actions between different apps can be programmed right here, and you don't even need to know programming, because this is pretty simple. And the integrations. So Zoho Books not only is a versatile app, but it is also going to give you a lot of options to expand as you expand your business. And so as you can see, it not only integrates seamlessly with all our Zoho apps, but then it also integrates with payment gateways, and there are some other nifty apps that you can use along with Zoho Books. Then one main question that I always receive from my customers is that backing up your data. So for that, we have a specific section here, and you can, by just clicking on it, you would be able to back up all your estimates, invoices, your transactions, and pretty much everything inside Zoho Books in the form of a CSV file that can be opened inside Microsoft Excel. So you have to never worry about getting locked out of your data or anything like that, because you will always be able to keep a personal backup of your data. And another one basic question that often new users often experience is how to subscribe to that product. And to do that, you can just click on this subscription button right here inside the settings, and you can make the payment. I'll be showing that to you at the end of the webinar. So let's go back into the features. So within Zoho Books, as you can see, this particular app is built to handle all your everyday sales, your invoicing, your receiving your payments, and then linking your bank and pretty much all your purchases. So for that, we have some very comprehensive modules on the left-hand sidebar. And then the Zoho Books also does basic inventory tracking. And as you can see here, right now I have opened up my contacts. So here I maintain all the list of my vendors and customers. So when I open any one of them up, you can see here I have all the details along with the any comments. So if there is something specific to a particular customer or so, I can just record it in the comments. View all the purchases made by a particular customer, and then at the same time any mails sent to them or any statements sent to them. So all of these things can be viewed right here. So this is basically a customer. And then let me just quickly open through an item. So and basically within Zoho Books, creating any particular record is pretty simple. So you can create a new contact by just clicking on the plus button adjacent to this module. So as you can see here, the plus near the contacts took me to a new contact creation page. And if suppose this can be useful when you are updating or adding new contacts, and then you can just add all their details. And if you have enabled the GST, you would also find another section right here. I'll be showing that to you pretty soon on a presentation, so that and you would be able to view that upon your own live organization from 15th of this month, wherein all the returns and other stuff is going to be active for you. So yes. But if suppose you wish to import all your data from your existing system, so say you're using an old outdated accounting software, or you're just using spreadsheets, or you're just on pen and paper and you just wish to bring them in, so you can find the import modules within every section inside Zoho Books. So if you wish to bring in your list of suppliers and customers, just go to contacts and click on the menu button, which has 3 dashes, and then here you see the import customers option. So once you go there, so it will just ask you whether do you want customers or do you want contact persons. So customers can either be individuals or they can be organizations, and contact persons are basically people. So so let's go with customers to keep it simple. And then, so as you can see here, this is the import page, and every import process is actually has 3 steps. So first you upload your file, and then you select what to do with that file. So either you skip any duplicate records, or you update any duplicate records. So in case you have already imported them and you just want to update specific information across your contacts, you can use the overwrite option. And then the character encoding, and then you are set for the next step. So after you do that, then in the next phase, you would be mapping all the different fields within your file and the fields within Zoho Books. And then finally, you would see a preview before you import them. And you can download your sample file from right here. So I just clicked on the sample file option right here. So within every import page, and I just got my file right here down below. So within every module, so if I go to items and if I wish to import my items, then I can do so by just going to the module and then clicking on the menu button, and then voila, you have the import option. And you can also find the sample file within that page, so that you can align your import files according to the sample file. Okay, so with respect to items, this particular module, here you can store all your item information. So you can pretty much have your name, unit, SKU, and then you can have your sales information, purchase information, and then you can also track inventory for the item. And you can also set up reorder points and preferred vendors, so that when the item goes to the low stock zone, automatically you will get a reminder and you can buy from your preferred vendor easily. The price lists feature that comes up next up, this particular feature will allow you to create multiple prices for your items, and then you can link these price lists to specific customers, or you can add them to invoices. So certain customers might have a dedicated rate, so those can be configured within this module. Item adjustments will allow you to add or subtract stock for certain reasons which are not sales or purchases. So you may be giving out free samples to your vendor, so for that you can make an adjustment, or you may just have lost certain items, they could have been damaged. So in such cases you can do a quantity adjustment, or the value of the item may be depreciated, so you can do a value adjustment. So using this module you can pretty much configure your item. So next up is the banking section. So this section actually will allow you to add your bank or your credit card. So as you can see here, I have already configured certain banks as well as certain accounts, and so you can see some transactions being shown up right here. So by doing so, you would be able to pretty much view the details, and then add a transaction or import the statement from the bank, and then reconcile your transactions. So next up, let's go to the sales module, which is really interesting. So the estimates module, this particular module can be either used as a means to send out quotes, or this can also be your pro forma invoice. So you basically create an estimate wherein you specify the customer. So one main doubt that our clients have is that under GST, we have something called as place of supply, which is really important. And so you can configure the place of based on the customer's location, and based on your own location, the GST would automatically be calculated based on the place of supply. So you don't have to worry about it. We have taken care of that part. So don't worry. So next up, so once you create an estimate, so I have certain estimates right here, and let's assume that I created this estimate right now, and then I have emailed it to my customer. So this could either be used as a pro forma invoice, or it could just be a quote. So now when this estimate gets accepted, so I mark them as accepted, because let's say they accept it from their email or through the client portal. So once they do, so this gets accepted, and then you can just convert it into a tax invoice. So as you can see here, all the information from the estimate has been brought in here, and this can be saved, and it can be emailed, and your sales transaction will happen. So speaking of stock tracking, one thing to remember is that whenever you create an invoice, and then when you email an invoice or mark the invoice as sent, the stock level of an inventory tracked item within Zoho Books will go down. And similarly, for purchases, whenever you record a vendor's invoice, inside Zoho Books, we call them bills. So whenever you record a vendor's invoice under the purchases section, the stock level of your items will go up, especially those items for which you have enabled inventory tracking within the items module. So this is something important that you have to keep in mind. So only when an invoice is emailed to the customer, or confirmed by you manually, the stock level will go down. And as soon as you record a vendor's invoice, which is called a bill, the stock level will go up. Okay, please keep that in mind. Next, you have the sales orders, which can be something like an intermediary to just blitz down and take on all those orders that are coming in your way, and they can also be converted into invoice. Then to receive payments, you can just record any payments that you have received from this module, or directly by just going to a particular invoice, you can just go there and record payment. Or if you have your customers' payment information, you can also charge them if they have given you that permission. And if suppose you have linked your organization with a payment gateway, that can be done. Okay, so next up, so that is also going to be falling inside the payment received. So the recurring invoice module will allow you to configure invoices which will be automatically sent created and sent to the client for a particular period of time. So if they buy something from you repeatedly every month, then you can just put down a recurring invoice, and then you can configure it and set the time period. So as you can see here, I'm inside the recurring invoice creation page, and then I can just say that it starts on this date and it ends on this date. And so automatically for that, and the repetition period can also be set, and the invoice would be a clone of that invoice for that particular time period will be automatically generated and sent to the client so that they can make monthly payments. And credit notes is finally the one place where you can record any returns done by your customers. So if suppose your customer paid you in excess, then you can create a credit note for that. Or if suppose they are returning an item back to your inventory and they are just picking up another item, so in order to add that item back to your inventory as well as the amount related to that item, you create a credit note here. So you can do that. So the purchase module, as you can see here, you can record your expenses. So any expenditure that you incur on behalf of your business can be tracked here. It could include any mileage expenses or any other expenditure that could be billable or non-billable. So those can be recorded here. And any recurring expenses like your rent. So you're in a rented location, and then you just have to pay rent for while doing business. So those can be recorded right here. And then your purchase orders will allow you to draft purchase orders, and then you can email these orders to your vendors so that they can dispatch goods to you. And then whatever bills that they send across your way, those can be recorded within the system. And you can record the payments that you make to your vendors right here. So please note that you won't be able to directly make your payments through Zoho Books, but then any payments that you have made through various means can be recorded and kept track of here. And then the vendor credits is going to be the one section wherein if suppose you have made excess payment to your vendor, then the vendor will be giving you some credits so that this can be offset during your next purchase. So those kinds of details can be recorded here, and they can be used against your future bills. So next up, I'm going to take you quickly through the timesheets module. So this is the one module which will allow you to actually manage all your projects. So you can create a new project, and then you can associate it with a customer. So this could be a service contract, or this could be a subcontract wherein you are going to offer your service for a particular client. And then your tasks can be, this can be a project, can be a fixed project cost, or you can have it based on project hours or task hours. So tasks are basically subsections of a project, and then based on task hours also you can pretty much have a project. And then if suppose I select task hours, and then so based on the task I can set up a rate per hour, and then I can even run a timer. So if suppose I have my service engineer go out and fix an air conditioner, for example, and then he would be carrying a mobile app. And speaking of that, Zoho Books actually supports mobile apps. So if you have gone through our website, you would know that we have mobile apps on the App Store, Google Play, and the Windows Store. So based on whichever kind of device that you use, mobile phones or tablets or whatever, you can download our mobile app right from our website, and then you can use them. Okay, so if the service engineer carrying the mobile app will be able to use that, and they would be able to start the timer, work on the project, and then stop the timer, and automatically for that you could bill your customer. So these kinds of things can be done right here within the timesheets module. The accountant module, so this is one place which is going to allow you to record manual journals, or you can file GST. So this will be unleashed on July 15th, and along with that you're going to get all your GST related features. So so I'm going to directly move on to the GST features right now because of this. And before we go, I'm just showing you all the reports that you get along with Zoho Books. So be it your own payables, you also get aging summary based on when you get the payment and how, from who. All of those information can be tracked here. And then yes, so these are the more 40 plus reports that you can explore with Zoho Books. So let me quickly, start with the GST features of Zoho Books. So when you are using, Zoho Books, as you can see here, the GST information of your organization is going to be taken in from you right at the setup process. So as you saw in the setting up place, I showed you a second section called taxes. So there we actually get your GST identification number, and we also inquire whether your business is registered under the composition scheme or not. So based on this information, the number of returns that you get for your organization will be determined. So if you are a normal vendor, you're going to get GSTR 1, 2, 3. And then if you are a vendor under the composition scheme, you get GSTR 4. So those things will be determined. And then you get the reporting period. So if you are going to be a normal vendor, you're going to submit monthly returns. And then if you are a vendor under a composition scheme, then you're going to submit quarterly returns. And then we get to also take care of the other details. So you can either file the GST returns online from within Zoho Books, or you can export the data from here and then file the GST returns on your own. So those things can be done, and those things can be configured under the settings module. And you also have to specify your GSTN username so that your account inside the GST portal will be linked to the Zoho Books account. So once that is done, inside the tax module, actually we have pre-configured all the GST related taxes once you input your GST identification number. And other than that, if suppose you are an importer and you wish to add some additional taxes at any point of time, you can do that from within the tax module by just clicking on the new tax button, and then you just have to give the tax name, the rate, and the tax type. So for additional taxes, we also have a specific tax type called additional tax. So those things can be done. Next up, okay, so this is very important. So under the GST, you are required to get the GST identification number of all your clients and your vendors, whoever is registered. So when you to do that, under the contact section, I showed you the contact creation page earlier. So right from there, you would also see certain additional fields, which is like contact category. So inside the category, you can select whether he or she is a business or it's an individual, and whether they are registered under the GST or not. So those things can be configured, and if it's a business registered under GST, then you have to enter the GST identification number of the customer or the vendor. And then you can also specify whether they are taxable or tax exempt. So for example, if you are a person who sells items to these diplomatic missions and foreign bodies that have a unique identification number, then in that case they'll be tax exempt because they don't have to pay taxes. But then still you would be getting credit for whatever tax that you paid at the time of your purchase. So in such cases, you can use this module. Next up, for your items. So under the GST, you would basically have to maintain HSN codes for your items. And if it's a service, then you have to also maintain their SAC codes. So based on the category that the item belongs to, and based on the HSN code, the tax rate of the item is going to be determined. And okay, so now we already saw under the template section that under the GST we have these GST templates for your invoices and for your transactions. So basically under this we have a specific format which was designed based on the rules laid out by the government, wherein we have a unique invoice number. We also specify the place of supply, and automatically we determine whether it's SGST, CGST, or IGST. And once you record all those transactions within Zoho Books, you can either directly file these returns, because we ourselves are a GSP provider. I mean, GST Suvidha provider. So we have direct links with the GST network, and so we connect your account with the GSTN network directly. So you don't have to go and access and rely upon third-party applications each and every time, because you can do that right from here. And then, okay, so let's just see a few tips right here. So before filing your GST returns, first you have to actually push all your transactions that you carry out within the app. So for that, we have a specific report called unpushed transactions, within the tax report section of the Zoho Books. So under this report, you would be like pushing from time to time within the month. This is not filing. So before you file, you have to actually push all the records that you have, your invoices and stuff, into the GSTN network. You do this because the GSTN wants to compare the records that you submit with those submitted by your customers and your vendors for authenticity. Okay, so you have to keep pushing them from time to time within the month. So while you're pushing it, an OTP will be sent to your registered mobile number, and then you would be required to enter it and then push these transactions. Next, within this particular report, so let's say you have pushed all the transactions from 1st of say this month to 30th of this month, and then now you are thinking about filing your GST returns. So before you do that, you have to reconcile your purchases. So when it comes to reconciling purchases, so before I talked about pushing, so as you can see here, when you click this push button right here, so it will take you to this OTP. This particular message will appear before you, and you would receive an OTP on your mobile phone, and you just have to enter it and then save it. So once you do, that happens. So then when it comes to reconciling your purchases, there are 3 things here. So in certain cases, let's say you and a specific vendor did 3 transactions this month. And so while pushing these transactions, you have pushed all the 3 transactions, and the vendor has also managed to push all the 3 transactions. So when both of you have pushed in all these transactions perfectly, then that's a perfect match. So in such cases, you don't have to reconcile any purchases. But then, and they are also known as recognized transactions. But in certain cases, you have pushed 2 and the vendor has pushed 3. So what will you do at certain point? At this particular point, so you don't know whether you have pushed everything, but then the vendor has done it. So in this case, before the tax authority starts fishing, you can actually fix this by using the reconcile purchases option. So within this particular report, as you can see here, the reconcile option is here. Once you click on that, it's going to show the bills, associated vendor bills right here, and it's also going to show the record submitted by your vendor, and then you can actually approve or reject this particular transaction. In some cases, you yourself, and this is called an unrecognized transaction from the GST. So in some cases, you might have done everything properly, but then your vendor might have pushed less records. So that would be an unrecognized transaction, and it would be on your vendor to fix that. So it will not be your problem. So yes, with that, as you can see here, these are the 3 sections. And so finally, you can file your GST return from within Zoho Books. And to do that, as you can see, like within any particular GST return, you would have to start the particular return at the beginning of the month. So once you start the GSTR 1, 2, and 3 within Zoho Books, we have a file now button within the return. So once you click on that, you can this particular window will be shown to you, and you have to upload your digital certificate. So this is required in order to authenticate or declare the authenticity of this document. So this is as good as signing a declaration at the end of the return. So for that, the digital certificate of the authorized signatory should be uploaded right here. And then you just need to put in your password and then your PAN card number right from here. So you can also connect the digital certificate from your USB, or you can use the e-sign to take care of it. And then so these are some of the things that you can do within Zoho Books, and manage and file your returns directly from this particular app. So these features will be available to you from 15th of this month, so stay tuned for that. And then the upcoming features that we are going to add on here is that you are going to get smart notifications, and then you're going to get ways to do reverse charge or deduct tax at source. So, and then you're also going to get GST ready features across all the products within the finance suite, and then you get reminders. So this is pretty much the overview of Zoho Books. And before we go, I would actually like to show you how to make the payment. So to purchase Zoho Books, so once you have tried it out and once you're happy and all that, So you, to purchase Zoho Books, just click on the settings, and then here you have what you call as the subscription option. So just click on that. By doing so, this is going to take you into the Zoho store. So the Zoho store is that place wherein you can choose the product, the particular plan, and then you can specify the details and then just make your payment in the form of debit cards or credit cards. So as you can see here, I have the professional plan. I mean, I'm already inside the professional plan in this organization. So you can basically upgrade by selecting the plan. So if I'm not in the professional plan, you would see two things. So I would be in the free plan or the trial plan, and then you would see the professional plan right here. And by clicking on this upgrade button, it will take you to the plan details. So when I click on that, as you can see here, the plan details will tell you the amount that you have to pay. And then if suppose you are also opting for the auto scan feature, which can be pretty useful feature, then that would also incur additional charges. And then once you are inside, once you click on the order summary, so you are going to get it right here. You can also order some of our other products from the Zoho store. So this is just like that. And then once you confirm, it is going to ask you to enter your card details and the company billing details and all that, along with your GST identification number if it's applicable, and then you can just make payment. So this is basically Zoho Books, and you also know how to subscribe to it right now. So in case you have any questions, and now is the time to ask. So please keep asking questions within our chat panel, and our folks are going to answer them. And yeah, have a fantastic evening, and we look forward to having you on board Zoho Books. So please check it out, and in case you have any questions or such, you can always give us a call or write to us. So thank you. Have a great day. Bye bye.